Third parties are disappearing, regulations are getting stricter. As a result, tracking data and conversions is becoming increasingly difficult. It's a new reality that companies and marketers worldwide are struggling with. But there's a solution to get all your tracking data back. And this solution is server-side tracking. With server-side tracking, you get more data for your campaigns, but you get more GDPR proof. As you can see, this client of mine has a data improvement of 20% through server-side tracking. But there's not much to find on how to set it up, so in this server-side tracking setup series, I will show you how to set up server-side tracking for your website. And the first platform we are setting up server-side tracking for is Google Analytics 4. If you want to use server-side tracking, you need a Google Tag Manager account. Most of you already have one, and I will start from scratch, so don't worry about that. From web container to server container, I've got you covered. There will be timestamps in the video, so if you've already set up some basic things in Google Tag Manager, you can skip through the video. If you're setting it up for the first time, I would recommend watching the whole video. This way you can understand it better what you are actually doing. The difficult part is that every website is different, as some need a special approach. So let's get into it. First, you need to understand what we are actually doing. So search for server-side tracking, and here you will find what server-side tracking is. On the left, you will see the old way of tagging, and on the right, you will see server-side tagging. And on the left, you will see that when I click on a website, the data goes directly to the platforms like Google Ads and Facebook and that kind of stuff. And with server-side tracking, the data goes first from your website to a server container and then to the platforms, like in this case Google Analytics 4. And this has some benefits. The mostly is getting more data because on the left, this method, the data stream can be blocked by like ad blockers or browser tracking prevention mechanisms. And that's why you're tracking less and less with your main setup right now. And this data can be blocked, so you get more data, it's better data. But there's also something else happening, and that is that the data is becoming first party instead of third party. And I will discuss this in another video. In this video I will just show you how to set it up, but I have another video on my channel on how this actually works. We're now gonna set up server-side tracking for your website. Before you start, what you need is a Google Tag Manager account. You don't need anything configured yet if you want, and a Google Analytics account. So before you start, make these accounts and you don't have to configure anything in it. So in this video I will talk a lot about the web container and the server container. I will call this the web container. As you can see, it's also a target platform as web. And we're gonna create an extra server container where we're gonna configure some server-side tracking settings, and that's called the server container. In this video, we're gonna set up server-side tracking for a e-commerce website. It's a basic e-commerce website with some events like purchase, add to cart, and that kind of stuff. But you can set up server-side tracking for any kind of website. But in this case, I will use a e-commerce website. So the first step in setting up your tracking is getting the data from your website to the relevant platforms like Google Analytics 4. So you created a Google Analytics account, and you will probably see that you haven't configured any tags or triggers yet, and you don't get any users. So the first step is getting the data through Google Analytics. Go to Google Tag Manager, go to tags, and create a new tag. Call the tag the Google tag. Click on tag configuration, and here you will choose the Google tag as a tag type. Then you will need to fill in your tag ID or your measurement ID. This you can find in your Google Analytics account. So go to Google Analytics account, click on admin, then click on data streams, then click on the stream. And here you will find this ID. So copy, go back to Google Tag Manager, paste the Google tag, and here you go. Choose as trigger all pages, then click on save. Then the first step is been taken. The second step you need to take is adding the GTM script to your website. This way the data is getting from your website to Google Tag Manager, and from Google Tag Manager it flows to Google Analytics. So what you need to do is click on this code right here, and you need to paste this code in the header of your website and this in the body of your website. I have a WordPress website, so in this video I will show you how to do it for a WordPress website. But there are a lot of tutorials. If you have a Shopify website or something else, there are a lot of tutorials you will find on the internet on how to do this. So in this case I will do it for beatrechts.nl, and the first thing is I go to the WordPress backend. I'm in the WordPress backend, and now I'm gonna add the codes to the header and the footer of the website. You can do this within the theme file editor, but not every WordPress website has this because of the theme. So in this case I'm gonna use a plugin that's called Header Footer Code Manager. You will just need to click on Add Plugin, then search for Header Footer Code Manager and install the plugin. After it's installed, activate the plugin. And once installed, you will see left in your WordPress bar, you will see the Header Footer Code Manager, and you will need to add a new snippet and go back to Google Tag Manager and copy the first code, the head code. Copy, go back to your WordPress, give it a name like Google Tag Manager header. Snippet type is HTML. Site display, you need to have it displayed on the whole website. Then location header, then you will just need to paste the code and click on save. And we're gonna do this also for the code, the body tag, I'm sorry. So copy this code, go back to WordPress, add new snippet, give the snippet a name, GTM footer. Then the location has to be the footer. Just paste it again and press save. And now you've added the code to your WordPress account, so the data is coming from your website to Google Tag Manager, and from Google Tag Manager it goes to Google Analytics. We can test this also with the preview modus. So go back to Google Tag Manager and click on preview. Here you will need to fill in your website URL. Once you've done this, click on connect, and it will be connecting with your website. And in the preview modus you can see everything that is happening. So if I just click on a product, you will see that in Google Tag Manager in the left bar you will see what I did. I've clicked on a product, and as you can see, when we are on tags, you will see that the Google tag is fired. So this means that the data is coming from your website to Google Tag Manager, and the data is going to Google Analytics. We need to disconnect the debug modus, stop debugging, go back to Google Tag Manager, and you can click this away. And this is the first step in setting up your data tracking for your website from scratch. The second step is creating some events in Google Tag Manager that will appear in Google Analytics. The Google tag is getting some data, but you need to also create some events that you can see in your reports, like when you have a purchase or something else. So when you go to Google Analytics under engagement, you will find there are a few events. There are events that Google Tag Manager is automatically getting from your website, and then it's already sent through Google Analytics. But there are also events that you need to create by yourself, like a purchase or an add to cart, or if you're a B2B website, a contact form. You need to think by yourself, what kind of events do I want to track on my website, and what is not already configured in Google Tag Manager itself. In this case, I'm an e-commerce webshop, so I would like to track my purchases, of course, and my add to carts, and a few items. I'm now going to show you how to create those events in Google Tag Manager. The before we can create these events, we need to make sure that we have a proper data layer on our website. I will show you with an example. Here you will see how the data stream is going. You have your website right here, and it's getting a lot of data from it. It's like a pile of junk data that is not structured at all. So it's a pile of junk data that you need to send through Google Tag Manager. And in the data layer, this data is being structured in a specific way. So I will show you right here, or right here. Normally it's not structured at all, and with the data layer it has been structured. So when I have a e-commerce website, you will see when somebody has got a purchase, you will see the country is US, currency is USD, language EN. So this is a very important step, because if you don't have a data layer, the data, you can make e-commerce events what you want, but you can't track them because the data is not coming through correctly. So how we're going to create this data layer? There are a lot of plugins that you can use. For the most CMS parties there are lots of plugins that you can use. In this case, I have a WordPress website, so what I like is the Taggers plugin. You can download the Taggers plugin by searching for Taggers plugin. Here you will see the plugin. They have plugins for a lot of CMSs, also like Lightspeed and that kind of stuff. So if you have another, you can just search for it and they maybe have it. The data layer plugin, you can download it from GitHub. Just go to the link, download this code, download the zip, and you need to import this zip into your WordPress account. So go to plugins, add new plugin. On the top of your screen you'll see a button, upload plugin, and here you will can upload your zip file. Click on install now and the plugin will be downloaded. Activate the plugin. Once you're here, you need to fill in your Google Tag Manager code. So go to your Google Tag Manager account. You need to copy this code, go back to your WordPress, and here you will need to paste it. You don't need to fill in this one, and then you will need to press on Save Changes. So on the top of your screen you will see events, and here you will see all the events that are structured in the data layer, and you can choose to select if you want them therein or not, but I don't see any reason why you should not want to add all of those. And as I said, Google Tag Manager is also tracking some events, so this is getting on top of it. So these are the most important ones. This is an important step. I've now added a data layer using the Taggers plugin. And this plugin also automatically adds the GTM script to the website. So the header and footer code I was talking about earlier in the video, we've added the header and body codes with the header and footer code manager. But the Taggers plugin automatically also does this, so it's now double in there. So we now can remove the header and footer code snippets from the header and footer code manager. So you can turn those off, or you can just delete them. It's just what you prefer. So it's important, you have to check if your data layer plugin does or does not add the GTM script automatically. If you don't do this, you get double GTM scripts, which can cause certain data not to be tracked. We're back in Google Tag Manager. We now have a proper, the website data is going through the data layer, through Google Tag Manager, and now we need to create the events, which after these events are being reported in Google Analytics 4. The first one is creating a purchase event. Go to triggers and click here on new. Choose the title of the trigger, GF4 event purchase. Click on trigger configuration, then choose for custom event, give the event a name, in this case purchase, then click on some custom events, event equals purchase. So this way this is the trigger where the event is happening. So if somebody makes a purchase, the tag that we'll be making will be fired and will be sent through Google Tag Manager. We need to create a tag that should be fired when you get a purchase. So give it a name, click on tag configuration, click on Google Analytics, choose for GA4 event, and here you will need to fill in the measurement ID. So this way Google Tag Manager knows where to put the event through which Google Tag Manager account. So go back to your analytics account, click on admin, click again on data streams, and here you will find the measurement ID. Go back to Google Tag Manager. Okay, so the Google tag is found in this container, so that's nice. Then give the event a name, purchase. Then we need to add the trigger, and here you will choose your purchase that your trigger that you just made. So in this case, GA4 event purchase. Press on save, and now you've created your event. While editing, I realized I forgot to check something in the events. When you go to an event, you need to go to more settings and you need to check out this box if you have a data layer based on the GA4 protocol. If send e-commerce data is not checked, then the e-commerce related data stored in the data layer will not be forwarded to Google Analytics. The Taggers data layer plugin is based on GA4 protocol, so don't worry if you use the Taggers plugin, you need to check out this box. If you're not using a data layer with a GA4 protocol, you need to set up some event parameters. The GA4 protocol is not being used in plugins like the GTM for WordPress plugin and some other plugins. At the event parameters, you specify exactly what you want to send. For example, when you have a add to cart or a purchase event, you might want to add some e-commerce value. So that was it. Let's continue for the rest of the video. You now need to do this for every event that you're having. So in this case, I will add to cart and view item. I'm back. I'm created all the events that I need, and now we're gonna test if those events are working. So again, click on the preview modus, and then you will need to fill in your website URL to connect. We want to track an add to cart and a view item and a purchase. So here we go. This has to be a view item, and this has to be an add to cart, like this. And when we go to Tag Manager, and the add to cart is being measured, so as you can see right here, and as you also can see is that the tag is fired GA4 event add to cart. So this event will now be displayed in your Google Analytics account. This can take up to 24 hours, so don't worry if you don't see it directly. We can also see this for view item. As you can see, the tag is fired GA4 event view item. You need to do this for every event that you have. This way you can make sure that you've set up your events correctly in Google Tag Manager. You need to disconnect the Google Tag Manager preview modus. You've now created a Google Tag Manager account, set up some events, so this way you can track some purchase and view item and add to carts events and other events that Google Tag Managers automatically is getting from your website. You've also set up a GA4 data layer from your website, so the basics are in place. As I mentioned, an extra server will be introduced. As you can see right here, through this server the data will be passed on to Google Analytics 4. Just like your website, this server space has to be hosted, and in this way the data is getting through these servers through the relevant platforms like Google Analytics. So there's an extra layer in between. The downside is that you have to pay for the server renting space, but the benefits are you getting server-side tracking, and this way you can get more data and you're being more GDPR compliant, and you're also benefiting from other advantages like getting a faster website. But as I said, there's a different video on my channel, and otherwise there's a lot of blogs and videos on why you need server-side tracking. I am hosting this server space with taggers. If you want to support the channel, you can create an account through the link in the description. This way you support my channel. So just click on register and your account will be registered. The benefits from taggers is they have affordable pricing. They have a lot of features which you can use. The servers from taggers are distributed around the world. They have a user-friendly and clear dashboard. They also have Google Tag Manager templates which you can use. They have guides, videos, everything you need to set up server-side tracking by yourself. And the thing I like, you saw at the beginning of the video, they have a server-side analytics dashboard where you can measure the data difference between client-side tracking and server-side tracking. And this way you can check if server-side tracking is the right fit for your company. This is especially great since all of this is quite new for most people, so you can just test it. Once you've registered, click on Add Container to add your server container. We need to create this container in taggers, so this way the data is getting through the tagger servers through the relevant platforms. And we also need to create a server container in Google Tag Manager. So first go to taggers, click on Create New Container. Then you will need to choose your subscription. They have a free plan available, so don't worry, you don't have to pay directly. And you can also choose if you want to upgrade automatically. In this case, I want this. Then click on Continue, and then you will need to fill in a few details. I've put in the company name and the website, and now you need to add the container configuration code, and this you can find in Google Tag Manager. But before this container configuration code is displayed, we need to create a server container. So go back to Google Tag Manager, click on admin, then click on this plus, and here you will need to fill in the container name. In this case I will use the company name and then server container. Then for the target platform, instead of web, we will choose for the server. Then click on create, and here you will see when you click on manually provision tagging server, you will see your container configuration code. You can copy and paste this into taggers, and now you've created the code. Then choose your server location. If I were you, I will choose the server location that is the closest to your website. Then click on continue. Then you will need to choose a subdomain because the data is going through your subdomain to the relevant platforms. This way some scripts also will be loaded on the subdomain and not on your main website. And this is the reason why your websites are also getting a little bit faster once you've set up server-side tracking. So choose your subdomain. This can be anything. In this case we will use analytics. Then you will need to add DNS records to your hosting. This way everything is being validated within taggers. So what we're gonna do is you need to go to your hosting, to your web hosting, where you're hosting your main website on. In this case it's my domain. Here you will see, and you will need to add the DNS records to your hosting. So in this case, I can do this right here. For every domain hosting, this is different, but on taggers, on the support, you'll find different manuals for the different hosting companies. I'm now in my DNS settings, and we need to add a record to it. So in this case, I will need to click on the plus, go back to your dashboard. The type has to be A, as you can see. Then the record, you will copy and paste, and the name has to be this name. So then we need to add the DNS settings, and now you're done. Go back to your dashboard. and now you can validate within taggers. This can take up to 24 hours, so don't worry if it's not getting validated already. You can do this another time, but in this case it's already validated. So click on continue. Here you will see an overview. Make sure everything is set up correctly, and then click on create, and now your container is being made within taggers. You can click on the container, and here you will find your dashboard. Here you'll see some basic stuff like the container details. Here are all manuals on how to implement server-side tracking for different platforms. Here you will find the template gallery if you want. There are a lot of features that Taggers has. If you're interested in all the Taggers tools, they have a demo video on their YouTube channel which you can watch. But in this video I will show you how to set up server-side tracking for Google Analytics 4. So you now have your web container where the data is coming through, and you have a Taggers account, and now you're renting the server hosting space. You've created the server container, and now we need to add some tags and triggers in the server container, and this way the data is going through the server container to Google Analytics 4. I will show you one more time how the data is flowing. The data is going from your website with the data layer to the Tag Manager web container, which you've made right here. After that, the data is going from the web container to the server container. So we need to send this data to the server container, and from the server container, the data is going to Google Analytics 4. But what we're doing now is that the data is going from the web container already to Google Analytics 4, and the data needs to flow first from the web container to the server container. And this you can do by going to tags, then go to the Google tag, and here you will need to click on container configuration settings, add some parameters. This you will have to fill in, and here you will need to fill in the server container URL. And as well, you need to fill in your subdomain. This subdomain you will find in your Taggers dashboard. As you can see, it's right here. Just click on copy, go to Google Tag Manager, fill in the subdomain as value, and press on save. The data is now being sent from your web container to the server container. And we now need to configure GA4 into the server container, which then the data is going through Google Analytics 4. This you can do by adding a trigger and a tag. So first go to triggers, click on new. Here you will need to give the trigger a name. I should give it the name GA4 client. Then click on trigger configuration. Then click on custom. Here you will need to fill in some custom events. And we want to set it up like client name equals GA4. So click on event name. Click on here, you will see client name equals GA4. Then press on save. And now we need to add a new configuration tag in the server container for Google Analytics 4. So go to tags, click on new, give the tag a name. Click on tag configuration, choose again Google Analytics 4. You have to fill in your measurement ID. This one you can find again in your Google Analytics account or in your web container. The rest you can leave it on default, and as a trigger you need to make sure you have the GA4 client, the trigger you've just made. Now press on save. But before we start sharing, we of course need to test this. And you can do this by opening the preview modus again. But the preview modus in the server container is working a little bit different than from the web container. When you need to validate your server-side tracking setup, you need to open the preview modus in the web container and the preview modus in the server container. There are only two more things we have to do. The first one is you need to add a server container URL in your container settings. So go to admin, click on container settings, and here you will need to fill in your server container URL, which you can find in your Taggers dashboard. like this, press on save, and now we go back to the workspace. And the only thing we now have to do is test if the server-side tracking setup is working. So just follow my steps and you will be good. What you need to do is you need to open the Tag Manager server container, but you also need to open the web container. So also have opened the web container and then go to the server container, click on preview. Then go to the web container, also click on preview, fill in your URL. And we now can see if everything is going well. So this is the debug in the web container, and as you can see, the Google tag is fired and everything is coming through. We've already established this earlier in the video, and we now also can click on the debug mode in the server container, and as you can see, the tag GA4 configuration is fired. And this means that the data is going through the server container through Google to Google Analytics 4. We can also test this with an event. So we're gonna go to our website and we click on a product, and then it should fire a view item like this. And when we go to the debug modus, you'll find this is the web container. You will see the view item, the tag is fired. And then when we go to the server container, you will see also a view item, and the tag GA4 configuration is also fired. Here you will see the outgoing HTTP request from server, and this is where the data is going through. So in this case to Google Analytics, and this is what we want. You can also can see what data is being sent through Google Analytics, and this you will find in the event data. So in this case, when I had a view item, you will see my language, the page location, and some other things. You can also check if the data is coming through in taggers. When you go to the Analyze section, you will see the request that you've made. So this way you can check if the data is going also through taggers. If you are finding problems, taggers has also a debug series. And here you will find common scenarios and solutions to these situations in a support article. So like you don't have any incoming request, you will see an article on how to fix this. So they have a great support. And that's really it. You've now set up data tracking for your web container and server container. You've created an account on taggers. This way you can use server-side tracking. And now the data, when we go once more back to this picture, your data is going from your website. Then the data layers here in between, it goes to the web container that you've configured. Then the data is going to the server container that you've configured and hosted on taggers. And now the data is going through Google Analytics 4. If you find this video useful, hit the thumbs up below the video. This way I can check what videos you all like and what should I create in the future. Again, you can use my affiliate link down in the comments. This way you support my channel. And this was Tracking Success for now, and I'll see you in the next one.